But before I allow them to seek the clarifications and ask their questions, may I, with your permission, Your Excellency, invite Mr. Patrick Kabambe, PS for Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, to read a press statement. Thank you, Your Excellency.
Your Excellency, Dr. Joyce Banda, President of the Republic of Malawi, Your Honor, the Vice President, Right Honorable Kumbo Hastings Kachali, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Honorable Ephraim Muganda Chume, MP, and all Cabinet Ministers here present, Members of Parliament here present, Mrs. Hawa Nirowe, Chief Secretary of the Government, and all senior officials here present, the Commander of the Malawi Defense Force, General Henry Odilo, Inspector General of Police, Mr. Loti Zonzi, distinguished members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. Her Excellency the President, Dr. Joyce Banda, has just returned from highly successful and landmark visits to the United Kingdom, the Republic of Botswana, and the United States of America. These official visits were at the invitation of the leadership of the respective countries, aimed at further strengthening the bonds of cordial relationship with those countries. Official visit to the United Kingdom. Her Excellency the President paid an official visit to the United Kingdom from 17th to 22nd March 2013. She started her working visit by attending the Dr. David Livingstone bicentenary celebrations in Scotland at the invitation of the First Minister of Scotland, Right Honourable Alex Salmond. The President arrived in Scotland on 17th March 2013 and proceeded to the David Livingstone Centre in Blantyre, the birthplace of the great missionary. At the centre, the Scottish First Minister announced grants amounting to £4.9 million to finance projects in health and sustainable economic development. The First Minister also announced a partnership between the Scottish and Malawi football associations for the development of football, especially the training of coaches. Her Excellency the President then attended a church service at the David Livingstone Memorial Church in Blantyre, where Malawian clergy from Livingstonia Synod and Blantyre Synod took part in the church service. On 18th March 2013, Her Excellency the President had a bilateral meeting with the British Secretary for the Department of International Development, DFID, Ms. Justine Greening, where they discussed British support to the Malawi government. Her Excellency later addressed the staff of the DFID, where she outlined her vision for resuscitating the Malawi economy and her commitment to accountability and fight against corruption. At the meeting, Ms. Greening announced a new financing of £21 million for HIV and AIDS programs in Malawi, and £16 million for emergency procurement of drugs to ensure adequate supply for the rest of this year. Afterwards, Her Excellency the President had a meeting with the business community in Scotland, where again she outlined the reforms that her government is undertaking aimed at improving the environment for doing business in the country. She invited the Scottish business community to come and invest in the country. Later in the day, Her Excellency addressed the Scottish-Malawi Partnership, a grouping of Scottish civil society organizations working in Malawi. She thanked the partnership for their contribution to the fight against poverty in Malawi. She urged the organizations to work closely with the government to ensure complementarity with government programs. In the evening of that day, Her Excellency was honored with a dinner hosted by the Scottish First Minister at the Edinburgh Castle. Speaking at the dinner, the President lauded the historical links between Malawi and Scotland, which have their roots in the missionary work of Dr. David Livingstone. She recalled that the work of David Livingstone led to the abolition of slavery and the introduction of Christianity and commerce in Malawi. She then noted that some of the challenges which were there during Livingstone's time, such as diseases like malaria, which led to the death of Livingstone, still exist today. She then appealed for concerted efforts to carry on the spirit of Livingstone by continuing to fight against these challenges. On 19th March 2013, Her Excellency addressed the Scottish Parliament. She thanked the Scottish government for the support they continue to give to Malawi under the Malawi Development Programme. She also outlined the strategies that her government has put in place to get the Malawi economy back on track, particularly her vision to turn Malawi from an aid-dependent country to a trade and investment-dependent country. To this end, she again called for the continued support from the Scottish government and also extended an invitation to the private sector in Scotland to come and invest in Malawi. Her Excellency the President travelled to London on 19th March 2013 and held discussions with the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Right Honourable David Cameron. The two leaders discussed ways of taking the bilateral relationship between Malawi and the UK to a much higher level through trade and investment. They also discussed regional issues in view of Her Excellency being the Vice Chair of the Southern Africa Development Community, SADC. The Prime Minister applauded Her Excellency the President's commitment to stay the course with the economic reforms which she has been implementing since her ascendancy to the presidency. In the evening of 19th March 2013, Her Excellency attended a special commemorative church service at the Westminster Abbey, where Dr. David Livingstone was buried. This is the day marking 200 years since the birth of Dr. David Livingstone. Her Excellency the President laid a wreath at the Abbey. Members of the Malawi clergy took part in the commemorative service. On 20th March 2013, Her Excellency the President officially opened the UK-Malawi Investment Forum. The forum was attended by over 150 British and Malawian investors. Speaking during the opening of the forum, Her Excellency reiterated the reforms that her government is taking to improve the environment for doing business in Malawi. She invited the UK business community to seize the opportunity available in Malawi to invest in energy, mining, tourism, among many other areas. She indicated her strong resolve to move Malawi from an aid-dependent nation to a trade and investment-dependent nation. During the day-long forum, the UK business community discussed with government officials as well as the business captains from Malawi who had traveled to London for the event, various opportunities and challenges existing in the country. A large number of investors from the UK undertook to make follow-up visits to Malawi to concretize their areas of interest in investment opportunities in the country. After opening the forum, Her Excellency met with the All-Parliamentary Forum at the House of Commons, where she briefed the members of priorities of her government. She later observed proceedings in the British Parliament, where, during question time, the Prime Minister publicly praised Her Excellency the President for the reforms she's undertaking aimed at bringing the economy back on track. Her Excellency the President then called on the Duke of York, His Royal Highness Prince Andrew, at the Buckingham Palace, where His Royal Highness was keen to understand more about the challenges that Malawi is facing and how he could assist to address those challenges. His Royal Highness pledged to send teams to Malawi to get more details so that he could assist through the various charities and organizations where he is involved. Her Excellency also held discussions with the British Foreign Secretary, Right Honourable William Hague, where issues related to our bilateral relations as well as regional issues were discussed. On 21st March 2013, Her Excellency attended a breakfast meeting organized by the Royal Society of London, where she briefed the gathering on the political and economic reforms that her government is undertaking. Later on, she addressed the Royal Institute of Political Affairs at Chatham House, where she talked on the theme of good governance, growth, and human rights, a vision for Malawi's development. State visit to the Republic of Botswana. From 25th to 26 March 2013, Her Excellency the President paid a state visit to the Republic of Botswana at the invitation of His Excellency Lieutenant General Seretse Khama Ian Khama, President of the Republic of Botswana. Her Excellency arrived in Gaborone in the morning of 25th March 2013 and was welcomed by her counterpart. Soon after her arrival, the two leaders met for bilateral talks. During the bilateral talks, the discussions dwelt on technical and financial support that the Botswana government has availed to Malawi. The support that has been pledged is as follows. 1, a soft loan of $10 million US. 2, a line of credit to enable joint ventures between Botswana and Malawi private sectors, with particular preference in the agriculture sector. 3, scholarships in mining, tourism, and livestock production. 4, attachments in identified areas in mining, tourism, and livestock production and management. 5, donation of 300 cows and 50 rams of goats to Malawi. And 6, donation of animal-drawn agricultural equipment. The two leaders urged officials on both sides to expedite the process of implementation of these commitments. During a state luncheon hosted in her honor by the President of Botswana, Her Excellency applauded the progress made by Botswana in moving from being one of the 10 poorest countries at the time of independence to an upper middle income country within a short space of time. She praised Botswana for being a model on how a country can utilize its natural resources for the benefit of its people. She reiterated her belief in South-South cooperation and thanked the government of Botswana for the technical and financial support to her government. Her Excellency extended an invitation to President Lieutenant General Seretse Khama Ian Khama to pay a state visit to Malawi at an opportune time. Her Excellency later toured Diamond Trading Company, a public-private partnership company that trades in diamonds. She also visited Lazaro Kaplan, which is a diamond polishing company. The tour offered her an opportunity to learn and understand how a successful public-private partnership can work in the mining sector. On 26 March 2013, Her Excellency the President officially opened a poverty eradication workshop in Maun in the north of Botswana. The workshop was held under the theme, Building a Life of Dignity Through Citizen Economic Empowerment. In her statement, Her Excellency praised the government of Botswana for the strategies it has put in place to eradicate poverty among the poor and vulnerable. She noted that the Botswana Poverty Eradication Program has many similarities with her government's strategies. She then briefed the gathering on the Malawi government's own strategies to help the poor, such as social cash transfer programs, farm inputs subsidy program, a cow, a family project, and school feeding programs. Malawi and Botswana agreed to sign a memorandum of understanding on cooperation in poverty eradication and social development programs. The MOU will be signed during the Joint Permanent Commission of Cooperation meeting on 6th and 7th May 2013. The MOU provides for the exchange of knowledge and expertise on issues related to poverty alleviation initiatives and to cooperate and exchange views on the same during discussions in the international forum. Official visit to the United States of America. Her Excellency the President arrived in Washington, D.C., United States of America on 27th March 2013 for an official visit at the invitation of the President of the United States, His Excellency Barack Obama. President Obama had invited Her Excellency together with the Presidents of Senegal and Sierra Leone, as well as the Prime Minister of Cape Verde, for a consultative meeting whose theme was democracy and its links to economic development. The 4 leaders were invited to the US because of their strong democratic, reformist, and impressive progressive leadership. They discussed with the US President a range of priorities, particularly how to deepen their partnership with the US in strengthening their democratic institutions and promoting economic growth, trade, and investment. President Obama undertook to support these countries as they continued with their economic and political reforms. On her part, Her Excellency the President committed her government to joining the Open Government Partnership, which is an initiative of President Obama for transparent governments. In this vein, Malawi government will develop a national action plan that will include 4 core principles of transparency, civic participation, anti-corruption, and using technology and innovation to make government open, effective, and accountable. The US undertook to provide Malawi with anti-corruption investigation training for police and judicial sectors. Bilaterally, the US government committed to continued assistance to Malawi with the goal of moving the country from aid to trade. In this vein, the US will support a renewed effort to export more Malawian products to the US under AGOA, assisting in issues of competitiveness, quality standards, identification of more products for export, and training for entrepreneurs, especially women. The US government also commended Malawi for the forthcoming tripartite elections. Her Excellency the President committed our government to free and credible elections and to ensuring that election harmonization legislation is given priority. The US committed $2.5 million towards supporting the elections. In other areas, Malawi was selected to be the 3rd country to participate in the program Saving Mothers Giving Life, which will directly support the presidential initiative on safe motherhood. The US government will also support the school feeding program in Malawi under the WFP with $20 million. Malawi will also be a priority country for President Obama's Young African Leaders initiatives that is aimed at building leadership skills in public and community service, as well as business and entrepreneurship. Her Excellency also met with the following. 1, US Secretary for Defense, Honorable Chuck Hagel, where they discussed peace-building initiatives on the African continent. Mr. Hagel commended the Malawi Defense Force's professionalism and said it was a model on the African continent. 2, Administrator for the United States Agency for International Development, USAID, Dr. Rajiv Shah. 3, Peace Corps Regional Director for Africa, Mr. Dick Day, where it was announced that in July this year, the US Peace Corps will send to Malawi 12 medical doctors, specialists, and nurses to teach at Malawi College of Medicine, Kamus College of Nursing, and Mzuzu College of Nursing. Malawi will be one of only 3 countries in the world to benefit from this brand new program. Also under the Peace Corps program, an additional 20 teachers in mathematics, biology, physical sciences, and English will be located in Malawi's community-day secondary schools. Her Excellency was a guest of honor at a luncheon hosted by the Alabama State University and the 100X Development Foundation, where the university announced 25 scholarships to Malawians to study at the university. Conclusion. Her Excellency's visits to the United States, to the United Kingdom and the United States of America, as well as the state visit to the Republic of Botswana, were a huge success and a landmark in the history of the Malawi nation. The visits brought our bilateral relations with the 3 countries to a much higher level. In the United Kingdom, £42 million sterling was announced as new allocations to the Malawi government out of this visit. This is a landmark achievement and a true testimony of the British government's confidence in the country's leadership. The hugely successful UK-Malawi Investment Forum showed that the business world is also keen to invest in Malawi and begin moving the country away from an aid-dependent country to a trade and investment-dependent country. The highly successful state visit to the Republic of Botswana also demonstrated that even developing countries within the region would like to cooperate with Malawi, and it is a manifestation of the confidence they have in the path that the country is taking. Excellency's invitation by President Barack Obama for consultations is very significant, as it is further proof of the high international profile that Malawi has taken under Excellency's leadership. Your Excellency, Your Honor, Honorable Ministers, I thank you for your kind attention.